So Nintendo recently updated the Nintendo Switch to firmware 6.0, and we really didn't get a lot of things in the firmware 6.0. All that we really got in 6.0 was the infrastructure for the online service. That's primarily why we got an update for the Nintendo Switch. However, you may not even know this, we did get one major feature with the firmware 6.0, and I wanted to talk about it in this video because you may not even be aware of it. This feature is actually going to be really good for people who have multiple family members with Nintendo Switches. So if you're a big family and you have multiple people with multiple Switches in the same house or whatever, then this feature is really going to be good for you. It pretty much pertains to digital goods. So if you buy a lot of your games online, whether that be physical retail games digital, whether you buy indie games digital, pretty much any games that you buy digital, this is going to be very good for you. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the new feature in firmware 6.0, game sharing. Yes, game sharing is finally available on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm actually quite excited about this feature. Unfortunately, I really can't try this feature out because I don't really have another family member who owns a Nintendo Switch. I do have some friends that have some Nintendo Switches, and I thought about actually trying this out, but the only thing is I'm still kind of iffy about the whole situation, about how this actually works, and I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can. It's kind of hard how this actually works. So basically how this works is, if you own a lot of digital goods on your Nintendo Switch, basically you can allow another user to play your games on their Nintendo Switch. Of course, you still have to download them on their Nintendo Switch. So basically what happens is, you go to another person's Nintendo Switch, they sign in with your account, and once they sign in with your account, they can pretty much play all your games, of course, after they downloaded them. And I think that's a very good feature. So no more if you have multiple family members and you want to buy digital retail games and you want to share them with your family members, now you can actually share them with your family members. Of course, there is some caveats to this whole thing. It's not going to be there are going to be some limitations with this whole thing. For instance, the one big thing that you're going to have to realize is it's going to be two Switches only. So only two Switches at a time can have the same account. So the main Switch is going to be the primary Switch, which pretty much is the Switch that the account started on. So when you first buy a Nintendo Switch and you put your account on your Nintendo Switch, that's going to count as the primary Switch. So that is the primary Switch. And then when someone else logs into your account from another Nintendo Switch, that's going to be the secondary account, the secondary system. And there's only two systems at a time that can actually do this. And another caveat with this whole game sharing is going to be the fact that you have to be playing your games online. So if you're the secondary Switch, the person who signed into another person's account on your Nintendo Switch, then you're gonna have to play your games online. Once you go offline, like say you're playing it in handheld mode and you don't have any internet connection, it's gonna pause the game and you're not going to be able to play the game. Of course, I know why Nintendo did this, because of piracy, hacking, and people just playing games that they didn't deserve to buy and things like that. So I get it, and I don't blame them for putting these limitations on the whole game sharing itself. Another limitation this whole game sharing thing really does have is the fact that when you actually do game sharing, only one person at a time can be playing that account. So for instance, if my friend's playing my account and he's playing a game on my account, and then when I go to my account on my Switch and I try to play a game, it won't allow me to play a game because it'll say, sorry, your friend's already playing your game on your system. And that's one thing I kind of don't like about this whole thing. I know they're restricting people so that they can be limited as much as possible, and so you're not just giving your account away and giving people essentially free games that they didn't pay for. But the whole thing that bothers me is the fact that, what if your friend randomly someday just becomes like a jerk and he's playing your games on purpose, and then when you try to play, you can't play your games because he's playing your games, and then when you try to kick him off your account, you can't kick him off your account because, well, too bad, he's playing your games and you have to wait until they're done playing your games, and it kind of does suck that it's your account. I'm not 100% sure if Nintendo's actually allowing people to boot people off their secondary Switch, so the other person who signed into your account on their Nintendo Switch. I don't know if you can actually deactivate their account whenever you want or sign them out whenever you want. I'm hoping Nintendo has some measures put in place so that when you actually sign into your account, if someone's playing on your account, you can actually boot them off your account, because again, this is your account, so why couldn't you boot them off of their Nintendo Switch so you can play your own games that you bought with your hard-earned money? I hope there's something you can do about that. But overall, I think this is a really great feature for a lot of people, especially, again, for people who have a big family or people just have different family members with Nintendo Switches. And especially since you buy digital games, you may not want to distribute all your, you may not want to keep buying these digital games over and over and over. It's kind of like owning the physical copy of a game. It's like you can pretty much share it with each individual system out there. So this would only make sense for digital, because a lot of people wouldn't buy digital games, even indie games, just because there was really no way to share their indie games or share their digital purchases on the eShop with other Nintendo Switches in their household and things like that. So I think this is a good idea from Nintendo to actually allow game sharing on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm actually quite excited for this feature. Again, there's still some things I'm worried about. What happens if someone hacks you? What happens if someone plays your account forever? What happens if something happens? There's a whole bunch of things that could go wrong with the whole game sharing I can potentially see, but overall, I think this is a good idea. Just make sure you don't give your Nintendo Switch account to some random person you don't know. Make sure you give it to like maybe your friend, and make sure your friend's trustworthy, and make sure your family member's trustworthy and things like that, because you don't want to lose all your game purchases that you have bought with your Nintendo Switch. That would just be devastating. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.